Hey guys, Mario here with TCG Hut, and we're at Black Knight Games in Hamilton, Ontario. Just finished up a tournament. We have Gregory Titov here. He is the champion for tonight, correct, sir?
Yep, first place.
Alrighty, and what are you playing?
I am playing Cain aggro.
Cain aggro. What made you decide to play Cain?
Yeah, in general, it seems like a bit more of a good departure from the normal like Bahamut and whatnot as an aggro thing. It allows you the element of control if you want to like flip it and like just pew off all your opponent's things. Just seems pretty dang solid, especially against like any sort of aggro mirror. So you can just like remove whatever you need to whenever you need to.
Awesome. Alright, so what do you want to start with? We're obviously starting with the main deck. You want to start with 1 drops, 2 drops, or you got it all mixed up?
I kind of have it a bit mixed up, honestly.
Alright, well, just go ahead. Do your thing.
So, first, because we're playing Cain, we want to be able to first swing as soon as possible, and also possibly get a turn 1 flip, so we have 4 of Leviathan.
Awesome.
It goes really well with his ability, seeing as, okay, turns his red pings a thing for 200 to 400 or even more. You can just kind of get to the point where you're like taking out Wyvers for 1 red. It's just really silly. The turn 1 flip of like playing a Lave, just carrying a Lave to like flip him, really solid in general. So overall, it's a really good card in this deck. Then after that, we kind of have a bit of a stereotypical red build. We have 4 of Lance, no big shocker, good card, kind of just a powerhouse and Force of Will. 4 Egg, 4 Cthulhu. The synergy's kind of just... I don't think much needs to be said about Egg and Cthulhu. You play Egg, you incarnate Cthulhu. From there, typically, I kind of go for a bit more of an angle of, okay, instead of getting a Cthulhu right after, I typically try to go a bit more wide and get like a second Egg out, so I can have possibly 2 Cthulhus swinging. I feel wide's a bit better than like just straight in like some Baja Blast decks do.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I actually played against Baja Blast, but unfortunately my deck failed to deal with it as normally would.
Yeah, I managed to get there, but it wasn't by going wide, it's by getting lucky with 1 card we'll see in a bit. I also have 4 Guinevere's because in this deck it's just worst case scenario, I toss it out to get a Cthulhu out, or even just play it for 1 and end up drawing 2, discarding 1. Kind of filters through for the horrifying parts, just a good card in general. After that, we have 4 Thunder, another big shock card. It's really done a lot of work today, good card. What can I say? Like, I literally took someone down from 20 last round, 4 Thunders when they tapped out.
The Quad Thunder.
It does work. Then we have a bit of a meta choice here in Triple Split. Obviously, because I am pretty dang heavy in red, I have only literally 1 non-basic redstone. This is typically at least deals 600, if not more. It's honestly a little bit like lackluster today, based on like just the decks I played. But in general, it's a really good card usually to kind of just make them really fear something, you know?
Oh, I know the fear because I've faced that down and playing against you several times, and I hate it.
Then we have something a little bit more just techie that I want to try around. 3 Beowulf the Blazing Wolf.
Wow, werewolves. Yeah. I don't think anybody's ever played werewolves here.
Probably not. In general, it's a 3/5 with whatever it deals damage to a Resonator or your opponent, it doubles that damage. It combos very well with another card we have a 3 of in here today, that being Poison Apple. The combination makes it for 26 damage on turn 3. Or even more if you just kind of get to the silly point with Little Red or something. It could be a really good way to like close out a game. Poison Apple is just the type of thing where it is 1 card, 1000 damage whenever you toss it in.
Yep.
You kind of need to angle it a bit right when your opponent's playing more of a control deck or they might have removal, but if you make it land, it kind of puts a big dent, shockingly enough. After that, we have Snow White, 2 of, solid 3 drop. We don't want to have too many 3 drops because obviously we're kind of on the aggro side, but still, it's good enough and it can kind of do the work. After that, 2 Ame no Habakuris. We have 4 of Lance, we have 2 Snow White. It's a very good card in general. Kind of goes well with Beowulf, not really as spectacular since it doesn't double the damage again. But hey, doing 1400 and then 14 to their face is pretty solid. After that, we have 3 1-ofs. First, Marybelle. This is because, as Cain, we typically want to flip him as soon as possible and get in for it. Because of that, Flame of the Outer World's kind of a big stopping point. Marybelle, one in the main, is the kind of thing where we kind of just... We usually don't keep it out, honestly, unless we expect to be playing some sort of deck with Regalia or Flame. But it does do work occasionally. And at the end, it has come up at a key moment or 2. After that, we have 1 of Hector, because 4 Lancelots, 4 Cthulhu's. it's just like, it could kind of just be like 1 red, deal 400 damage at the right time.
It's
or
essentially a burn spell.
Yeah, pretty much. Or just toss it down and carry another Cthulhu. And then we have one that really shone today, one of Susanoo in the main. Facing Baja Blast earlier, literally every single game ended up with me tuning this off of an egg and playing it on 3 to either just try and go toe-to-toe with Bahamut or just go for face. It did a lot of damage, and I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with it.
Awesome.
Pretty good uncommon. Now for stones, we just have 9 Flame Fire and Little Red because it's a really good stone, makes the color we want, and it buffs our resonators. There's literally no downside. And last.
Sideboard?
Yep. So for the sideboard, we have one of Rapid Decay, good 1-cost way to deal with like problem resonators, use it against Lancelots, use it against Morgianas. Pretty
To be
solid.
honest, that was an all-star in my deck today, having the 2 main. It just, Lancelots just died. It dealt with so much stuff that I probably would have lost even more horribly if it wasn't for those cards.
It may be just a champ, but it is just quick enough. Then on top of that, we have Little Dread, the fake red moon. It's a really horrifying mid-game card that, honestly, when facing down Reflect Refrain, they have very little to deal with it effectively. Typically, they try to deal with like resonators by bouncing them repeatedly, and with Dread, it doesn't quite work out. You have to either remove their resonators repeatedly, like I did today, or just swing in every turn and make them have to hold up the counters. We have a second Marybelle for when we do encounter decks that we do know have Flame Devoted World, or just heavy Regalia decks again. We have a third Ame in case we do get to a bit more of a mid-range thing where, again, that kind of thing can just close it out. And we don't expect that many removals on our Lancelots or anything like that. After that, 3 Crime and Punishment. This is a thing...
3?
Yeah. It seems pretty dang horrifying, seeing as most times... I've seen a lot of decks that just pump Lancelots on the attack rather than anything else. So after they kind of like ping whatever guy you have, this just finishes them off before you actually like hit your face. In general, against Bahamut earlier, it was an all-star. Just closed out their Cthulhu train pretty early on. It's in general a really good removal spell for like 1-hit instant. Then, because I know we have a Vlad player here, Serto. Stops all gaining of life, and whenever a Resonator dies, each player takes 1. Adds up, and when Vlad doesn't really gain life, it's a bit of a really slow clock for them. So it's pretty easy to raise down at that point. After that, we have 2 Flame King's Shouts. Again, just a board wipe, knocks out a lot of really like smaller things, playing against something like Alice's World, and knocks out anything they might have, and then just swings in with something horribly, well, aggressive. Then we have 2 of Demon Flame. Clear off a bit here. Just another like 1-drop removal spell. Hits most key things you want to, stops a Thug Train. Can add up with 1 Resonator to like kill something larger if you need to. I've had that happen a couple times, not today luckily. And then finally we have 2 Guild Arrays. This is a card that I haven't actually played that much in this deck. It's just kind of a thought of if we do get to a really grindy type of matchup. Guild Arrays is really hard to deal with unless they counter it. Swings them for 20 or even more like on turn 6. It can really close out a game really quickly.
Are there any decks that come to mind in particular that you would board that in against?
Probably something like Vlad. Any other really horrifying control decks, maybe Dark Alice. Because they wouldn't need the black up to actually exile it when the trigger's there. Otherwise, he does just come right back and swing back in. Aside from that, the deck performed very well today. I'm pretty dang happy with it. I might change the Beowulf bouncing because while it was a good card, there were a few times where I kind of just tossed it away on the mulligan or was just... I didn't really want to play it. At the same time, the few times I did play it, the people I played against did seem a little... They seemed to respect it as a card that could be horrifying in the right circumstance. They kind of just tossed whatever they could at to get it done.
It's just something unfamiliar, right? They're not used to seeing it, so...
Yeah, and the thought that even like Little Red becomes +4/+4 is pretty gross.
Awesome. So, any final thoughts, wisdom, anything?
In general, I feel Cain's a really good just mirror breaker type thing, and that he just gives you a lot more angles to shoot with. No pun intended. He's a very just strong card. Getting him on turn 1 doesn't actually like hurt you for aggro. Doesn't keep you at 1 stone. Well, it lets you still keep on the pressure. I'm surprised there aren't as many people playing Cain. Even with Flames of the Otherworld being a card, he is still horrifying.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. You heard it from the champ. For tonight, that is. We won't know what happens next week.
We do.
Look at this cocky guy. Alright, well, Mario with TCG Hut here. We're out. Have a good night, guys.
Quad Thunder.